Welcome, hockey fans, to another edition of This Week in Wisconsin Prep Hockey. I am your temporary host, Bill Berg Jr. With me this week are Bill Berg and Michael Trzynski. Dell and MJ are off fighting crime, dressed in capes. We'll get started early this week. Should be a quick show this week. We'll get started with our games of the week. First off, Burglar, Wausau West and Spash for the Wisconsin Valley Conference title.
Well, for the second game in a week in a row that I was supposed to cover, I once again failed to cover it. The game was scheduled for Thursday night last week, and it got snowed out and was rescheduled for Friday afternoon, and I could not make it over there. What I do know is that Spash led 1-0 after the first period. West tied it up 2-2 in 2-2 after two periods. Spash got their goals from Nick Norgaran and Trey Zag. Wausau West tied it up 1-1 with a goal from Sam Teckel, and then tied it up 2-2 with a goal from Mark Sipple. So it was tied 2-2 after the second period, and then the third period was the Mark Sipple show where he scored 3 goals and led Wausau West to a 5-2 win and an outright hold on the Wisconsin Valley Conference title with a perfect 10-0 record in the Wisconsin Valley this season. So congratulations to Wausau West on their Wisconsin Valley Conference crown.
When was the last time they didn't win that?
I'd have to go look.
Because I was thinking about that. I've been thinking about it a lot lately.
All you have to do is on Sunday night when we go to skate at Marathon Park, take a look up on the wall and it has their valley, has the years up there.
Oh, it does.
With their,
I did notice on that plaque they've actually started painting on the wall because they ran out of board.
Oh no, I'm sorry, that's the Marathon Cup.
Oh yeah, that is the Marathon Cup. Yes, they've ran out. They have a board for anybody who hasn't been to Marathon Park. They have basically a full 4x8 sheet of plywood. Marathon Cup on the top, and the years that Wausau West has won, and they've run out of space, and they're now painting on the wall next to it. My question mainly came from one of the things we get every now and then when people complain about the top 10 is they're like, well, these teams are very similar, but this one plays in a harder conference. And, comparing the Wisconsin Valley Conference to, say, the Great Northern Conference, I think overall the Wisconsin Valley Conference is better. But once you get past West and Spash, does that really matter? When was the last time Wausau West lost to DC Everest or East Merrill or Marshfield or any of the other teams in the Wisconsin Valley Conference? So when it comes to rankings, at least as far as my ballot goes for anybody that's listening, it does not matter that Wausau West plays in the Wisconsin Valley Conference because other than Stevens Point, and teams come up and down, occasionally there are teams that can challenge West and skate with them. Rarely do they win. It does not matter to me that Wausau West plays in the Wisconsin Valley Conference because they always win it. And other than Point, nobody really challenges them most of the time.
And I would just like to add on, if you haven't been to Marathon Park hockey rink, don't make a special trip. It's not like, if you haven't been to the barn and the Dome in Eagle River, you have to get up there, and see that, for a Northland Pines High School game. There's really nothing exceptional about the Marathon Park ice rink. It's just a county building with a, hockey rink in the middle of it.
All right, moving on to the girls' game of the week. Trasher's hometown, sort of, Wisconsin Valley Union, took on the Rock County Fury this week.
Man, all right. I'm just trying to get over laughing at Burglar's little rant there, but yeah, Marathon Park. I mean, it's a hockey rink, but it's a hockey rink, right?
Well, the county building that is sometimes a hockey rink is something of a tradition in the area. I mean, that's what Anago is. That's what Rhinelander is. That's the Marathon Park. I mean, that's what a lot of the hockey rinks up here are. It's just a county building that's a hockey rink in the winter.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good place. It's kind of tough for anybody that does what we do because I mean, when I go there, I stand in the penalty box and take pictures and take my notes, and I got to duck pucks. I know like Chad Holmes and those radio guys, they're on the end, and they can hardly see the scoreboard. The scoreboard is like right kind of straight away from them, but they can't read it unless they happen to like lean way left and look back to the right to see the scoreboard. They're completely on one end of the rink. So, any marathon parkers that are looking to improve the rink from a media standpoint, give us a call. We could help you out. It's pretty tough there. It's a hockey rink. It's been they're home for a long time, so be it, right? Okay, so let's move on to the Wisconsin Valley Union and the Rock County Fury. They played on Friday the 8th at Janesville, and the Valley Union ended up taking a 3-1 win over the Rock County Fury, which was considered a minor upset. And the Union scored a goal in each of the 3 periods. First period, Shelby Treba scored early on in the game, 2 minutes in. Second period, Lauren Brecker scored to make it 2-0. In the third period, for Rock County, Maya Maslanka scored in the middle of the period to cut the lead to 2-1. Then toward the end of the game, the Fury pulled their netminder, and Shelby Treba scored her second goal of the game with 42 seconds left to account for the 3-1 final. In that game, Treba had 2 goals and an assist for 3 points. She led the way for the Union. Pissa Cowden, who's been near the top 1 or 2 goaltenders all year, stopped 29 of 30 for the win. On the other side, Olivia Cronin stopped 20 and allowed 2 goals, and plus the empty netter, of course. And the Union took the minor upset, the 3-1 win over the Fury. And that was the girls' game of the week that I think MJ was there, but he's not with us today. So give you this little report, and hopefully that will do it. Back to you, Junior.
Thank you. That will take us up to our Players of the Week with Burglar.
Our boys' player of the week, Jaden Hoople, goalie from Chippewa Falls. Due to weather concerns, they only had 1 game this week. He recorded 36 saves in a 4-1 win over River Falls, but that win made him the all-time winningest goalie for Chippewa Falls, which has had a high school hockey program for quite a while. Looking at Jaden's career stats, I mean, he actually played most of the season as a freshman. He was just a young dude, and he had 3 shutouts that year, 5 shutouts the next. Didn't have any shutouts last year, but he finished with 11 shutouts in his career, a career save percentage of .916, and a high school career goals against average of .242, and that's at 55 wins for Jaden Hoople of Chippewa Falls. On the girls' side, Gwen Parker from the Metro Lynx, another goalie. We like goalies. 36 saves, 3 goals allowed, and a 4-1 loss to the Cap City Cougars, and 37 saves in a 3-2 overtime win over the Bay Area Ice Bears. So a total of 73 saves on 78 shots for .936 save percentage. Gwen Parker of the Metro Lynx. So 2 goalies as our players of the week in a week that was somewhat shortened due to weather concerns, as this week may also have some weather concerns, but those games will be made up right away, I would think. That's it for the players of the week. Back to you.
And just a reminder for all the coaches and fans out there, you can nominate your own players of the week by emailing us at wiph3.0@gmail.com. That's our normal email address. Or hitting the link on the Player of the Week page on the website. It does help if the games are scored on the website.
It helps a lot. That way we can actually verify the stats.
That is correct.
Make sure that nobody's trying to pull our legs and give games that actually didn't occur during the actual week of record.
We do verify the stats, and if you've got a couple games played during the week where the score sheet hasn't been entered yet, unfortunately we just can't make you Player of the Week. So bear that in mind, coaches. All right, moving on to the top 10. The boys' top 10, the top 6 are the same. Northland Pines, USM, Wausau West, Superior, Stevens Point, and Verona. A little shifting in the bottom 4 of the top 10. The boys, the bottom half of the top 10 is just a mess. These teams just keep beating each other. 7 is Nina Hortonville Menasha, 8 is Onalaska, 9 is Eau Claire North, 10 is Sun Prairie. Honorable mention for the boys are Chippewa Falls, Eau Claire Memorial, Hudson, Madison West, and Notre Dame Academy. So once again, half of the Big Rivers Conference is represented. For the girls, the top 8 are the same. Warbirds Alliance, Fox City Stars, Central Wisconsin Storm, Eau Claire Area Stars, Western Wisconsin Stars, St. Croix Valley Fusion, Hudson Raiders, USM Wildcats. The Cap City Cougars move up from honorable mention. The Hayward Co-op Hurricanes are still 10th. The Bay Area Ice Bears and Rock County Fury are honorable mention for the girls. It's getting kind of hard to rank the teams on the bottom half of the top 10 on the boys' side. They just keep beating each other. And you can't look at the last game played when you're doing a top 10. You've got to look at their body of work. And there's a lot of these teams that have splits against each other, or they've got the rock paper scissors thing going on that we've talked about. It's getting kind of tough.
Well, it is getting kind of tough, and I think part of the problem too, as far as the ranking goes, is that it seems like everybody's got their own method of madness, right? I mean, if a 5 beats a 6, they might flip-flop the 6 and 5 around for the week, but then what do you do with the number 8 team that beats the number 1 team? I mean, there's a lot of different variables involved, and everybody's got their own mind in this, and so it kind of, it makes it interesting. I think for the most part we get it pretty close, but honestly, and you guys probably agree with this too, is that Mitch Hawker and Jeff Rashan's rankings, the USHSHO and the STAC rankings, I think are probably a little bit more accurate than the coaches poll. But, we just like to have it there for the sake of argument, and I think we get a little bit of that along the way, right?
By the end of the season, once everybody's got 20 games in, so you got the last 4 games left, I think the 2 computer rankings are probably better than any human poll we could put together. But before that, it's a toss-up, and obviously they don't even bother running the computer rankings until we're like 12, 15 games into the season. But yeah, by the end of the season, once everybody's got those 20 games in, I think it's probably a pretty accurate measure using the computer polls rather than the human poll, but it's still fun.
And Trasher's never going to let us forget that 1 week where Northland Pines beat University School, that's his 8 versus 1, and jumped right over them, and Spash beat Verona, that's his 5 and 6, and they didn't even switch places. And he just keeps bringing that up every week.
Oh man, it wasn't necessarily that. It was just an example.
It's the same example you've used the last 3 weeks, and those are the same ranking numbers that they had at the time.
I'd
have to go back and look at that.
I don't think
the video
across the spectrum of ballots that anybody has as wide a span in their rankings as Verona does. Because I think there's still a couple ballots that have Verona top 5. And there's some other ones that have them down to like 10. I think Verona still has this wide swing in the ballots we're getting for them. Because I think, one, their reputation is keeping them high, but outside of their 2 wins against Sun Prairie, they are winless in the top 10. They got a couple ties in there with other teams in the top 10, but they are winless, other than those 2 conference games with Sun Prairie. So it's kind of hard to rank them. They weren't all blowouts. I mean, the point loss was I think 5-2, but they were decent games. But so there's a lot of variance in Verona specifically, as part of Trasher's complaint and my complaint every week when we share the ballots around.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that. Um, I I think you have to have the coaches poll, the WIPH poll, and the other ones. They all kind of balance out. But um, have we been doing the composite poll? I don't. We really haven't, have we? Where we did that last year. We kind of.
Not one that I've posted. I know that Jeff Roshan, who does the stack ranking, put one together at some point earlier this year, but it's never been something that we do often or proactively. Um, but yeah, January 13th of this year, we did one that was a composite of the My Hockey rankings, the US HSHO, the stack, and the top 10 poll. But that was the last time it was run.
Yeah, and
You
I don't know.
say that we got to have the top 10. It's if we got rid of it, I don't think I would be sad.
No, and I don't think I would be either, but we have to have something that people can talk about and maybe complain about or maybe boast or brag or whatever. You got the coaches poll, and it might be close to what the statistical or the computer polls are, but maybe it's not. So either you have the argument for or the argument against, and I guess love makes the world go round, right? So everybody's got a little bit of their rankings for the better or for the worse, and they kind of go with that. So um, I think basically
It's for conversation.
it is for conversation, and what I've told several people and what you guys know as well as I do is that what it matters is who wins the last game of the year. That's what it all boils down to. So um, this is just conversational fodder for the next 2 or 3 weeks, and then we'll see who actually can stand up to it and make their poll worthwhile, and we'll kind of go from there.
I mean, if you think that the hate mail we get from people about the top 10 is intense, you should see the messages we share to each other.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Next week, some of you astute viewers will notice that we have not done sectional previews this week, as we have often done in the past. We're not doing that this year. Next week, we will be doing sectional previews after the regional round of games has been played. That's not to slight any of the teams that seasons may end in the regional. It's just it's not something that we've gotten a lot of feedback on over the years, and the regional play-in games typically aren't all that interesting, and it makes the sectional previews a lot longer when you have to talk about 122 teams across the boys and the girls. So this year, we're not doing previews for the regionals. Next week, when we come back, we will do all 12 sectional previews with a strict time limit so that this is not a 3-hour podcast.
Plus, you have to add the fact that we're minus 2 guys, so that can either be good or bad. And but yeah, I agree with you, Junior. I think that the the teams that are involved next week are going to be the more realistic teams that are going to be involved in the winning of the tournament, the winning of the playoffs versus the 8 versus the 12 or the 9 versus the 10. They pretty tough for those guys to get to the top of the bracket. So
Well, I don't want to sound like I'm whining, but we have day jobs. Like Wisconsin Pro Hockey doesn't pay the bills, and the sectional previews year after year after year have been a fairly large imposition on our time and effort. And Sometimes when everybody's busy and you've got stuff going on, you just need to step away from a couple of things. And this year, the sectional previews for at least the whole regional round, there was too much.
I mean, didn't we actually break it up into like 3 nights or something?
Yes, in the last several years, we've broken it up into several nights.
Yeah,
Um,
we can't even get MJ here for one night a week. Try getting him here for 3.
that is true. Now, I think that's it for the sectional previews. Anything else that you gentlemen would like to talk about?
Well, we have the WHCA Wisconsin Hockey Coaches Association Player of the Year finalists have been announced today. There's 8 of them. You can go on the website, wisconsinprephockey.net, and check that all out. Basically, just a quick tutorial on how that all works before we get any hate mail from that is that
Too late.
well, yeah, but that
All right.
the coaches the, the coaches nominate players, and usually it's from their own teams. Well, no, it's always from their own teams, and those nominations make it to the beginning of this whole process. There was 25 nominations this year. Coaches nominated 25 players. The coaches in the WHCA then chose their top 5. So they basically voted for their 5 top players in this group of 25. And after that voting was all done, the 8 players that had the most votes are going to be the 8 finalists that will be honored at the state tournament banquet, the Player of the Year banquet, which will be held Wednesday, February 27th at the Alliant Energy Center, the exhibition hall, where it's been for the past several years. So we have nothing to do with this. It's coaches nominate their players, and then the coaches vote. So the 8 finalists are determined by the voting of the coaches. Wisconsin Prep Hockey has nothing to do with this, and we do basically is after the finalists have been announced, we basically promote them on the website. So that's kind of all we have to do with that. If one of you a player that you think should have been on there, or whatever, you probably need to talk to your coach. Maybe he wasn't nominated, or if he was nominated, it's probably probably the most likely thing that happened is that he just didn't get enough votes to finish in the top 8. So Wisconsin Prep Hockey has nothing to do with the nominations or the voting. We just promote it as best we can, and that's kind of where it's at, guys.
Well, I think since we've already spent this much time talking about it, we might as well mention that they are Gavin Abrick, a goalie from Hayward, Drake Baldwin, a forward from Madison West, Cole Danielson, a forward from Hudson, Garrett Larson, goalie from Waukesha, Robbie Newton, a forward from University School, Jake Osiki, the lone defenseman of the group from Verona, Jack Rohde, forward from Northland Pines, and Sam Stang, forward from Eau Claire North. And of course, they are all seniors because that's part of the whole process is that to be seniors.
That's a pretty good mix. That's 6 of the 8 sections represented um, in the 8 finalists for the Player of the Year award. So they're from all around the state.
There's some tough choices in there, you know. I mean, it's not like you can easily say that there's 8 cut and dried players that these are the ones that are going to get the most votes. I mean, you look at more than just their on ice stuff. You look at their community service, you look at their scholastic records. There's a lot more than just how do they do it on the ice. And I think that sometimes the on ice records kind of dominates everything else. But when it comes down to kind of a tiebreaker, you got to look at the kid who's got a 4.0 and he's first in his class versus a guy with a similar on ice record that's got a 3.1 and he's 200 out of 400th in his class. So I mean, it's not just the best players; it's the best kids all around, and there's more than just 8 cut and dried that should get to the finalists. I mean, there's a lot of pluses amongst all these 25 players, so it's a tough choice. It, for the coaches, maybe there's some bias in there, kind of mix it all in. The on ice, the scholastic, the community service, it all kind of adds in, and that's you want that whole thing to be why you vote for that kid.
I'll get a check and see if Michael wants to make his weekly message about the Hobie Baker Award.
I think it's done.
Well, I know, but that doesn't mean he's done talking about it.
It's done. But we would like to thank everybody for voting for or nominating for the Hobie Baker Award and the Jeff Sauer Award, and now we have the Player of the Year Award. Some very worthwhile awards that are going to be handed out here in the next 2-3 weeks. And thank you for nominating your players. Thank you for voting for your players. And the next, is it 3 weeks? Yeah, pretty much. 17, yeah, probably 3 weeks is going to be some very exciting hockey. We'll be there to cover it all. We're going to try to get to as many sectional finals as we can next weekend. Not this weekend, but next weekend. And we'll be there at State as we have been for the last, what has it been, Burglar, 18 years? Something like that, 18 years. Since 2001 we started. And we'll be there to cover it for y'all. So I'll send it back to you, Junior.
All right, for Bill Berg, Michael Trzynski, I am Bill Berg Jr. You've been listening to This Week in Wisconsin Prep Hockey.